Deputy, if you could call the meeting to order. Thank you. Commissioner Caswell, would you do us the honor of the invocation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let us bow our heads. Father God, we just thank you once again for this meeting on today. We ask that you give us guidance, wisdom, and understanding. We pray for the constituents of Shelby County government, that you continue to bless this county in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Commissioner Whaley, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Whaley,
Present.
Commissioner Clay Bibbs,
Present.
Commissioner Caswell, Commissioner Sugarman,
Present.
Commissioner Mills,
Present.
Commissioner Shelby,
Present.
Commissioner Wright,
Present.
Commissioner Thornton, Commissioner Morrison,
Present.
Commissioner Brooks, Commissioner Laurie, Vice Chair Bradford, Chairwoman Avant.
Present.
I have 9 present.
We have a quorum. We now move to the approval of the minutes. Would be the approval of the April 27th, 2026 meeting minutes, the May 4th special call meeting minutes, the May 6th, 2026 special call meeting. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. It's possible to join the meeting 2 ways: via the designated email, boc.email@shelbycountytn.gov, via phone at 901-222-1234. Parliamentarian, please read the roll.
Members of the public who desire to address the County Commission shall request permission by completing an appearance card, which will be given to the chair by a deputy. Members of the public shall be permitted to address the County Commission unless ruled out of order by the chair or denied the opportunity to speak by a majority vote of the commissioners present and voting. Please note that as it pertains to public comment, our rules of order set a limit of no longer than 3 minutes when recognized by the chair. The chair may set a limit for discussion by the public of less than 3 minutes for each individual if circumstances require. Finally, to the members of the public, if you would like to express your pleasure or displeasure on a matter before the County Commission, please do so by raising your thumb up or pointing it down, as opposed to applause or other expressions of approval or disapproval. Disruptive members of the public are subject to removal from the Commission chambers by the Deputy Sheriff. Thank you for your attention and in advance for your cooperation today.
Thank you. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize the May birthdays. Vice Chair David Bradford celebrated a birthday on May 3rd, and it was a milestone birthday. Happy birthday to him. Commissioner Caswell on May 22nd. Every day's a milestone, right, Commissioner Caswell? City of Memphis' birthday as well. And then also our own Ryan Gillespie, who celebrated her birthday on who will celebrate on May 24th. Wish all of them a happy birthday. We'll now move to the consent agenda. Parliamentarian, please read item 4.
Special resolution honoring environmental advocate and young, gifted, and green CEO Latricia Adams, sponsored by Commissioner Erica Sugarman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As my colleagues may know, I am an environmentalist. I love it when I can honor like kind. This is a special resolution honoring environmental advocate and young gifted and Green CEO Latricia Adams. Whereas a proud Memphian and Alpha Kappa Alpha member, Adams graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in Foreign Languages from the University of Memphis with a concentration in Spanish, a Master of Arts in Teaching from Belmont University, and a Doctor of Education from Tennessee State University. She served 16 years as public educator in Memphis, Nashville, and Washington, D.C., as well as years in numerous organizations, including but not limited to the Greater Washington League Thursday Network, the Memphis Urban League, Young Professionals, and the Memphis Restorative Justice Coalition. And whereas the water crisis in Flint, Michigan inspired Adams to form her civil rights and environmental justice organization, Black Millennials for Flint, later renamed to Young, Gifted, and Green, founded in 2016. Adams and her team are spreading awareness of the dangers of lead poisoning and environmental injustice in communities in Shelby County and nationwide through a 4-point action plan. Number 1, raise funds. Number 2, advocate. Number 3, educate. And number 4, collaborate. Adams spearheads the Youth Environmental Justice Advisory Council, a program that transitions young leaders into environmental justice ambassadors through activism, organization, and political advocacy. And whereas she is currently a member of the American Public Health Association's National Council for Environmental Health and Equity, the National Black Environmental Justice Network, Protect Our Aquifer, and Climate Power. Among the countless awards, Adams is the recipient of the Child Health Advocate of the Year by the Children's Environmental Health Network 40 Under 40 by the Memphis Business Journal, and the Young Women of Achievement Award by the Women's Information Network, WIN. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Shelby County Board of Commissioners that Latricia Adams is hereby recognized for environmental advocacy and community service as a leader.
Thank you so much to Commissioner Sugarman. Of course, this is not my first time coming before this body, but very excited to be celebrated in my beloved hometown, which I care near and dear about. And some of you all remember me in my former capacity, where I spent 16 years serving as a public educator. I've dedicated my entire life to children, but nothing feels like home. Before I sit down here, I do want to acknowledge one thing. I would be remiss not to acknowledge there has been a lot happening in the state of Tennessee, specifically as it relates to redistricting. I remember going into a voting booth with my grandmother to press the buttons back in the day when you had the curtains around. I'm going to age myself here a bit, but I have been a long-term voter in District 9. And with this new transition, we have a lot of fellow constituents who are really confused. So I implore this body, if you could consider urging the Shelby County Election Commission to really take advantage of immediate voter education so that all voters in Shelby County understand what their new district is and should there be any polling changes as well. Thank you so much for this recognition, and yeah, thank you, Commissioner Sugarman. Right.
Ms. Adams, before you take your seat, there's a commissioner in queue. Commissioner Clay Bibbs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, just congratulations again. As you mentioned, this is not your first time in front of us, but I just want to acknowledge because I've watched you for quite some time and watched your growth. So thank you so much for all of your hard work and your leadership that you've done, not only throughout Shelby County, but throughout the nation. Sometimes, people don't know about all of the other things you do outside of what you do locally, but I've watched you do this across our nation. So thank you so much for representing us very well.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Soror, or whatever order we should go in.
Commissioner Brooks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and your emphasis, your focus on children, and your focus on civic education. I agree with you that we need to maybe encourage and maybe give some resources to the Election Commission because education will be needed around this catastrophe that happened under the name of redistricting. But we do want people to be able to exercise the right to vote. We want them to participate in this process. So education is needed. So greatly appreciate you bringing that up, and whatever you all are doing, feel free to let us know, and we'd like to work with you on that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Parliamentarian, please read item number 5.
Item 5 is a special proclamation for Administrator Shepperson Wilburn, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks.
Am I recognized?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you in the queue.
I'm not.
Commissioner Brooks.
We'd like to withdraw this at this time.
This item has been withdrawn. Can do that without objection? See none. So moved. Parliamentarian, please read item number 6. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, because we have quite a few comment cards, we're going to do that before we do a review of the consent agenda. First comment card, Kevin Morales.
Hello, my name is Cam Morales. The testimony details I'm about to share involve several medical negligence and loss of life in custody. These accounts are sensitive and may be deeply distressing or triggering to some, so thank you for your patience. Sam Carr died from the spread of bladder cancer after becoming ill in his cell at 201 Poplar and being taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Richard Willingham died from a blood clot in the lung caused by a clot in the leg after having trouble breathing while in the cell alone and being taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Michael McCabe died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging in his cell at 201 Poplar. DeMarcus Jarrett died from the spread of lung cancer, liver scarring, and lung disease after being taken to Methodist University Hospital for breathing issues. Bobby Sellers died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging and unresponsive in his cell at 201 Poplar. Stanley Campbell died from heart disease, with lung disease and obesity as contributing factors, after complaining of chest pain and being taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Charles Johnson died by suicide via hanging after attempting to hang himself with a sheet. He had a history of bipolar disorder and suicidal thoughts and died 5 days later in the hospital. Timothy Black died from complications of blood cancer after being taken to Regional 1 and then another hospital for treatment. Richard Higgs died from the spread of prostate cancer at Regional 1 Hospital. Tommy Young died by suicide via hanging after being found unresponsive and hanging from a torn bedsheet. He had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. A mental health crisis is not a crime. Booking someone in crisis into a jail instead of diverting them to Allegiance Healthcare is a choice, and it is the wrong one. Treatment saves lives. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Adam Nelson.
My name is Adam Nelson. I live in 38107. The testimony and details I'm about to share involve severe medical neglect and loss of life in custody at 201 Poplar. These accounts are sensitive and may be deeply distressing or triggering to some. Thank you for your patience. Clintus Strong died at Regional 1 Hospital with various pre-existing conditions while awaiting autopsy results. Christopher Petties died from bleeding in the brain due to heart disease after collapsing in his cell and being taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Avon Rowlands died from a fentanyl overdose, according to the sheriff's office. Jamarion Walker died from the spread of rectal cancer, a muscle infection, and COVID-19 after being taken to Regional 1 Hospital for complications. Leandra Isabel died by suicide via hanging after being found by hanging by a bed sheet. Dalton Goddard died from a methamphetamine overdose after being found unresponsive by guards in his cell and taken to Regional 1 Hospital. George DeClue died from heart disease after being found unresponsive 10 hours after booking. Bruising on his head was found. Dayon Bird died from stabbing by another inmate in the holding area. The family noted a 6-hour delay in notification before he died at a nearby hospital. Antonio First was found unresponsive in his cell, but no further details regarding the cause of death were available. Darrell Tyrone Young died from tissue death in the small intestine due to heart disease. Justin Lee Segerson died from a probable fentanyl overdose after being found unresponsive in his cell. Donald Jones died due to a bowel blockage caused by a twisted intestine resulting from colon cancer after being found unresponsive in his bunk in the medical unit. Roy Dunbar, my personal friend, died from a severe lung infection and heart disease after being found unresponsive in his cell and transported to Methodist University Hospital. Jeffrey Farrell died from heart disease after collapsing while playing basketball at 201 Poplar. An autopsy noted possible heat stroke. James Owens died from heart disease complicated by severe pneumonia and kidney infection after being found unresponsive in his cell. And I'll conclude by saying every one of these lives mattered. They had families waiting for them and communities that loved them. To let them die for medical negligence
Mr.
is a
Nelson.
moral failure we cannot accept.
Thank you,
End
Mr.
the
Nelson.
contract with WellPath.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Now.
Our next speaker, Mr. Wheeler, Dylan Wheeler.
My name is Dylan Wheeler. I live in 38107. Testimony and details I'm about to share involve severe medical neglect and loss of life in the 201 Poplar Jail, just down the street from where we are right now. Tracy Gill died from a fentanyl overdose after being found unresponsive by a cellmate. Malcolm Ford died from a lung infection, pneumonia. He stopped talking and eating weeks prior. He had a history of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, drug use, and suicidal thoughts, and he died at Regional 1 Hospital. Tyrus Watkins died from pneumonia and underlying health conditions after refusing food and medication. James Wilkes died from an accidental fentanyl overdose after being found unresponsive in his cell. Antonio Davis died from a methamphetamine overdose after being found unresponsive by guards in his cell and taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Desmond Shipp died from heart disease and valve failure. He had a history of drug abuse and died with heart failure and infection at Regional 1 Hospital. Gershon Freeman died from heart failure after a struggle with officers. He had a possible psychotic disorder and was involved in a physical alteration and restraint and died at the scene. Darian Nolan died from a fentanyl overdose and seizure disorder after being found with a, quote, mental status change. Daniel Neal died by suicide. Stephen Gomez died from brain damage due to a methamphetamine overdose. He reportedly swallowed drugs while in a deputy's car, was taken to the jail first, then hospitalized, and a lawsuit regarding his custody handling is pending. Santraz Taylor died by suicide via hanging after being
Thank
found
you,
hanging
Mr.
from his
Wheeler.
bunk by a bed sheet at 201 Poplar.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
I believe we had 3 minutes is what you said.
Did this time not start? The time has started and run out.
End the contract with WellPath.
Um, Yeah, I'm sorry that it wasn't on display. We did see the time on this side, and it had expired. Commissioner Caswell? No,
Thank-
we have two more.
No, you can finish with the
Okay.
speakers.
Next speaker, William Arnold. Please
Good
state your
evening,
name
Madam
and zip
Chair,
code.
members of the commission. My name is William Arnold, I'm in a 38111 zip code. I'd like to start just by saying that 1 in 2 Tennesseans has a family member that's justice involved. That's a person that has been arrested, charged, or convicted. And that means that person is sitting in a jail cell at some point waiting for their day in court. And that day should not be a death sentence because they're sitting in a jail cell waiting. The testimony and details I'm about to share involve severe medical neglect and loss of life in custody at 201 Poplar. These accounts are sensitive and may be deeply distressing or triggering to some. Thank you for your patience. Denny Fugate died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging in his cell at 201 Poplar. Mr. Fugate had a history of major depression and a prior suicide attempt. He died at Regional 1 Hospital. Christopher Miller died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging from his cell door by a sheet and taken to Regional 1 Hospital. Kenneth Melton died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging in his cell at 201 Poplar. Robert Turner died by suicide via hanging after being found hanging in his cell and taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. William Trentham died from an overdose involving fentanyl, kratom, and a sedative after being found unresponsive in his cell where drugs were also found. Jonathan Aguiano died from an undetermined cause related to a head injury. After being found in the shower, deputies stated he was alone and fell, but the autopsy could not determine the exact cause. Jerome Gavon was found unresponsive in his cell. He died from a perforated ulcer that led to a severe infection. Sherman Weekly died by suicide after being found outside his cell door. Locks had allowed inmates to roam the cell door was unlocked and inmates were allowed to roam the pod, and he left a suicide note. A mental health crisis is not a crime. Booking someone in crisis into a jail instead of diverting them to Alliance Healthcare is a choice, and it is the wrong one. Divert all people experiencing a mental health crisis or diagnosis to Alliance Healthcare before booking. Thank you.
Our next speaker, Laramie, I'm sorry. Laramie Wheeler, your name and zip code, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Laramie Wheeler. I work for Just City. My zip code is 38107. As the speakers before me, I will be sharing more causes of death that might be triggering or graphic. Alex Wenrick died from an overdose on a synthetic opioid similar to fentanyl. He had had a history of PTSD, psychosis, suicidal thoughts, and drug use, and was found unresponsive in his cell at 201 Poplar. Raquez McDaniel died from an undetermined cause as the medical examiner could not determine the manner of death, though his autopsy that was publicly released mentions being sprayed with a chemical agent and signs of asthma. Mr. McDaniel was arrested while experiencing a mental health crisis. Christopher Steele died at Regional 1 Hospital due to COVID-19 and a anoxic brain injury. He had recently been released from a psychiatric hospital before his arrest while passing through Memphis. He was not from here. Darren Crawford died from pneumonia after being found unresponsive in his cell and taken to Methodist University Hospital. Courtney Berry died from a tear in the main artery due to heart disease. There are no details regarding the deaths of Antonio Golden, Kimberly Clark, Martin Perez Estrada, Raymond McGee, Kevin Wright, Jerome Mimes, Wesley Joyner, Lawrence Sumlin, Tiffany Dukes, and Marcel Hutton. Adequate health care is a fundamental right. Yet in our Shelby County Jail, that is being systemically violated. The result is a human rights crisis where people are dying from neglect, mismanagement, and preventable causes under the watch of our current provider, WellPath. Just City has received testimonies of night nurses ignoring sick calls. One person reported going 4 days without essential medication. Another explained that when he asked the nurse what medication he was receiving, she couldn't tell him, not because she wasn't authorized, but because she didn't know. Diabetic patients are regularly fed starchy foods and then blamed when their blood sugar spikes. One man bled internally for weeks and was given a new diaper only once every 2 weeks with no place to discard it. WellPath has a history of lawsuits, bankruptcy, and documented neglect. In the last bidding process, they were ranked third out of 3 providers. The price difference between them and the top bidder was $8 million. As a taxpayer, I refuse to fund a system that treats human beings as disposable. The purchasing committee may recommend WellPath, but this commission has the final vote. You do not have to accept a harmful deal. I'm aware that the RFP just closed on Friday, and I don't know who the bidders are, but I am asking you not to book WellPath again and to terminate their contract immediately. And before I go, I just wanted to share a couple of things that were alarming to me when I was looking at the RFP from the last time WellPath bid. There was one psychiatrist for all of 201 Poplar and one psychiatric NP, which means there are 1,450 people per doctor for mental health needs. There are 3 full-time sick call nurses and 1 part-time, which is about 800 people per nurse. These are some of the staffing recommendations that WellPath came to you with, and I'm urging you to make a better decision next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caswell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for coming and speak to us today. Again, my prayers go out. I understand one of your friends passed, and we want to continue to keep them lifted up. And more than our prayers, I say, and I asked a question in committee the other day. I know that it was said to us that WellPath is going to leave. They're leaving, and they're not renewing. They're looking to renew their contract. But I ask for your advocacy continually, because as someone who have a family member with mental illness, I'm thankful that I'm able to call CTI or CIT officers and get the proper care and help for my child, but many people are not, and sadly they end up in the system. But even before they get to the system, as a county and our funding body who focus should be on health care of our county, many of these individuals have these issues before they even get to the jail. I heard cancer, lung disease, heart disease. We received a report from the health department that showed us that many in our zip codes and our neighborhoods died 20 years earlier than their counterparts in Germantown and others. If we're not funding at the level of trauma in many of these communities, we end up seeing it coming out as a result of these individuals in 201 Poplar. So we need your continual advocacy. Thank you. I know you all are living with this because you're studying and researching this, and as well as many of us see this in our community, and something have to change. Your advocacy and your continued fight, even through this budget, that we get it right. And I just end by saying that when I hear you say the 1 per 1,400 individuals, that's the same amount of number at our schools. And this is a conversation I had with some of our school leaders, is that they only got about 77 mental health for people working in mental health. We got 140-some thousand. It comes out to about 1,400 per one. If you look at the trauma, the murders and things that these children are faced with every day in their community, and they're not getting the help, later in life, we're seeing them in 201 Poplar repeating the same cycle, because help by this county have fallen short at the early childhood, and we're seeing it at later childhood. So I really need y'all voices to continue to be back with us, found out those strategies that we need to. One, we hear you, that we need to do something different with the people we got in there now. I don't know who's coming next, but we do need some intentionality around what that looked like. When we heard that with the Memphis Safe Task Force, people was sometimes 15 days in intake or longer. And I'm sorry, it was in there a longer time, but it takes 15 days before a doctor have to see them per the contract. They need to be seen quicker than that, and we got to have those partners to be able to provide that. And so, Madam Chair, I would yield my time. I know she may have a word to speak. If you may.
Go
She can
ahead.
have my few seconds.
Okay.
Thank you. And I agree, we need to do better. Just City bailed somebody out last year who was on in chemo for cancer, and she was booked at Jail East, and her chemotherapy was in pill form, and she was not able to receive that for a couple of weeks simply because she hadn't been seen and couldn't get her medication. But I would love, and I said this last time, and Commissioner Sugarman has engaged with me on this just a little bit, is the community would love to be a part of the decision-making process on who provides the health care in our jail. Those are our community members. So if there's anybody that I could reach out to and talk with about forming a committee to do that, I would be very excited to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now we will have 3 minutes to review the consent agenda, if there are any items that you would like pulled. Commissioner Sugarman?
Thank you, Chair. Item number 8.
I'm sorry, could you repeat it?
Item number 8.
Commissioner Claybibs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 24.
All right, Commissioner Brooks?
Items number 7, 12, 13, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 28, and 30.
Commissioner Whaley?
All right, so I think Mr. Brooks might have gotten one of mine. I think, yeah, you got 20, right? Did you say 20?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm 27 and 28.
We already have 28, so 27 will be added. All right. Parliamentarian, please read the items excluding numbers 7, 8, 12, 13, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 27, 28, and 30.
Item 6, 9, item 6, 9 through 11 come from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 6 is a resolution receiving and filing the January 2026 monthly comprehensive financial update reports entitled Shelby County Government Monthly Commission Division Reports for the year ending June 30, 2026, sponsored by Commissioner Michael Whaley. Item 9 is a resolution requesting the Chair of the Board of Shelby County Commissioners initiate the request for qualifications or single-source procurement process to engage an outside consultant to perform a comprehensive process audit for the Shelby County Commission's operations in the County Commission, Minutes Department, and Office of Equal Opportunity Compliance. This item requires the expenditure not to exceed $50,000 from the General Fund, County Commission's Consultant Services account, sponsored by Commissioner Erica Sugarman. Item 10 is a resolution creating a special revenue fund and appropriating funds for the Sexual Offender Registry created pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated Section 40-39-201. This item requires moving previously existing budgeted and actual funds from the general fund account number 10031-620-102-4664 to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office Special Revenue Fund account number 253-620-102-4664 and amending the FY 26 expenditure budget of Shelby County Sheriff's Office Special Revenue Fund account number 20053-620102-6026 to include the amount of $15,000 to be used for expenditures, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. Item 11 is a resolution to amend the FY 2027 grant operating budget and to appropriate federal grant funds in the amount of $1,455,278.74 and state grant funds in the amount of $749,689.05 for a total amount of $2,204,967.79 from the Department of Human Services for Title IV-D Child Support Magistrate Services. This item requires the appropriation and expenditure of FY 2027 federal grant funds in the amount of $2,204,967.79, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. Items 14 through 16 come from the Law Enforcement Corrections and Courts Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Wright. Item 14 is a resolution approving a contract between Shelby County Government and Metals Treatment Technologies, LLC for the emergency repair and reconstruction of range to berm on behalf of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office in the amount not to exceed $1,068,500. This item requires the expenditure of fiscal year 2026 capital improvement plan budget funds in the amount not to exceed $1,068,500, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. Item 15 is a resolution approving a contract between Shelby County Government on behalf of the Juvenile Court of Memphis and Shelby County, Tennessee, and Softtech Incorporated in the amount of $175,000 with the option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods. Said contract shall commence upon execution through June 30, 2026, with the option to renew for 2 additional one-year periods, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. Item 16 is a resolution to approve a contract between Shelby County Government and David Jackson, DBA Jackson Forensics Consulting, in an amount not to exceed $70,000 for professional services to establish an actionable plan for implementation and governance of countywide digital forensics and rapid DNA capacity in fiscal year 2026 and continuing through November 30, 2026 and fiscal year 2027, with the option to renew. This item requires the appropriation and expenditure of fiscal year 2026 general funds not to exceed the amount of $70,000, sponsored by Commissioner Mick Wright. Item 17 comes from the General Government Committee with Commissioner Sugarman as Vice Chair. Item 17 is a resolution approving the election of notaries public for appointment and a reappointment for Shelby County, Tennessee, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. Item 18 comes from the Facilities, Real Property, and Capital Improvements Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Wright. Item 18 is a resolution to grant a permanent utility easement, 30-foot wide water easement, and 10-foot wide electric easement in size over, across, and upon a tract of land owned by the City of Memphis and County of Shelby, located on the northwesterly side of Summer Avenue, approximately 1,750 feet southwesterly from the center line of Shelby Oaks Drive to the City of Memphis for the use and benefit of the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Division for nominal consideration for its provision of utility services and maintenance thereof, sponsored by Commissioner McWright. Item 26, 29, and 31 come from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 26 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $5,000 to Vietnamese American Community in West Tennessee, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $5,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Mikhail Lowry and Commissioner Erica Sugarman. This item was amended in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting. Item 29 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $20,000 to Adult and Teens Challenge Heartland, Inc., a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $20,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner McWright. Item 31 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $15,000 to Youth Engineered Success, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $15,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Matthew T. Shelby and Commissioner Erica Sugarman, amended in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
Can I get a motion? I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton. Second by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we approve the consent agenda without objection? Do that without objection, so moved. All right. Parliamentarian, if you could read item number 7.
Item 7 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 7 is a resolution approving the acceptance of a donation from the 100 Club of Memphis in the amount of $1,367 on behalf of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office and amending the FY 2026 General Fund operating budget. This item requires the appropriation and expenditure of FY 2026 general funds in an amount of $1,367, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
I have a motion by Commissioner Caswell, a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Whaley, can I have a committee report?
Yes, this comes down with favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks?
I pulled this item. If someone could let me know, maybe from the Sheriff's Department, the name, well, something about the 100 Club of Memphis. I think it's important for us to know who's donating to law enforcement.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Brooks, I'm not sure about the 100 Club of Memphis. I haven't done any background investigation on them, but I'll be happy to get that to you tomorrow.
Okay. So, we don't know who the 100 Club, okay.
No,
All right.
I don't.
I'd be happy to chime in if that's all right, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Commissioner
So, yeah, so the
Whaley.
100 Club, they raise money to help support the families of fallen officers. That's really their main mission, what they do.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Commissioner Whaley.
much.
Seeing no other commissioners in queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. Madam Clerk, please report the tally.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Chairwoman Avon. We have 11 aye votes.
Thank you. That motion passes. Parliamentarian, if you could read item number 8.
Item 8 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 8 is a resolution approving a 3-month contract extension with Aramark Correctional Services, LLC in the amount not to exceed $2,083,388.50 for food service management for the Shelby County Sheriff's Office. This item requires an expenditure of fiscal year 2027 general funds, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Shalai. He lets me call him Matthew, so my apologies. Commissioner Whaley, could I have a committee report?
Yes, this item comes down with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Sugarman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for the parliamentarian, and she leaves the room. The question becomes, as far as the scorecard, even if this is an extension, according to our rules, there should be a scorecard in Granicus, and I didn't see one. No worries, no worries, yes. And for consistency purposes, I was just wondering, again, why there was a scorecard put into Granicus, even though this is an extension. And whose responsibility is that for putting these items in Granicus? Because it seems like we need to make sure there's a checklist or something, because there seems to be some inconsistency.
And Commissioner Sugarman, as the parliamentarian is coming back, if you just repeat the part about the question in our permanent rules.
Okay. Isn't it part of our rules to have a scorecard in Granicus when it's an RFP? And if not, maybe, because I recall in the very beginning when I first became a commissioner, we did add that as a resolution. And then the second question then is, even if it's an extension, there should be a scorecard for consistency purposes, and there wasn't one. And whose responsibility is it to make sure that all the items are in Granicus?
Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to read the applicable
ma'am.
rule? Okay.
Thank you.
So the applicable rule is Rule 6. Rule 6C, Roman numeral 8, for those contracts utilizing the county's RFP or RFQ process, the scorecards, including scorecard criterion and total composite scores, shall be provided by email from the department seeking approval of the contract to the county commission and placed into the electronic agenda system prior to the meeting at which such items will be presented for consideration. The names and any personal identifying information of scorers shall be redacted. I will say that in the past, the Contracts Administration Department would not promote items to the county commission unless they included everything in the permanent rules. There was a checklist. Under this administration, that hasn't been taken place. That puts a lot of responsibility on Cesaria and our office to be able to see what everything that's required for contracts. So the rule, that is the rule. However, it is still being promoted to the commission and showing up on the agenda.
Thank you. And with that, I want to say, I have 10 more seconds, that is so things like that. If we have a process audit, they can find those kinds of things too. We can rectify the situation. And I would like the Sheriff's Department, if you would mind forwarding me that scorecard, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. In looking at this particular contract, it's a $2 million contract, so I always like to ask questions once they get to this level. I'm excited to see some of those that have passed their primary in the audience, and so I hope that you're tuned in and that you're ready to roll with these contracts as you move forward. This particular item had 4 companies that submitted proposals out of 46 vendors that were solicited. That means 46 people in our portal were deemed to be in the same commodity code as this particular item. 34 of those 46 are local, 8 non-local, and 4 of them were local with an expired BRN. So let's look at the 4 companies that submitted proposals. 1 of them was deemed non-responsive. 3 of them that were responsive bidders were all non-local. So I think this is interesting because we do have 34 local vendors that we don't get to see in this process of working with Airmark. And so in past conversations, and I hope that people are listening in the public, because this has been in past years a huge topic as it concerns to this particular contract. Local businesses feel like they are barred from being able to compete on this contract for 2 reasons. One, the parameters in here, there is a stipulation in this particular contract that requires you to have 5 years of direct current service of working with, I think, in this particular role, which only favors the current person. So that needs to be looked into. And then the second thing is just the scope of it. It is too large of a contract and it needs to be broken down. And so this has come up in conversations many times before. To those 34 local vendors, we do need to figure out how to unlock local potential. In the meeting prior, I thought it was very interesting that some commentary around my voting record with Republicans was brought up, but nobody talked about the fact that on that same meeting, we gave a non-local business a contract for landscaping. There are some serious wonky things that are happening with our contracting here in Shelby County, and somebody has to step up to do something about it. So I am going to ask another round of questions. I just want to set the stage for what is an issue with this particular contract. And then in the 30 seconds that I have left, if we could just talk about the 20% LOSB goal and how it's met. Is there an opportunity for us to be able, when this comes up for the rebid in 3 months, to break that part out? Can you just talk about the 20%? What is that service going towards? Is it, yeah, I'll just leave that as an open-ended question to ask more questions.
Is someone from the Sheriff's Department coming forward to answer the questions?
Thank you, Chairwoman Avent. Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. The item before you is a 3-month contract extension with the current vendor, Airmark. We're in the process, an RFP has been issued already. It has been scored by our department and sent back to purchasing for them to evaluate and provide a composite score. I think your other question, Commissioner Thornton, is about the 20% goal. At this point, I can't tell you what the goals are in the new contract because we haven't selected a vendor. So therefore, we don't know how that minority spend or the LOSB spend, how it's been identified. I don't have the information yet. We won't know that until we start negotiating with the vendors. At least I won't know because I'm not part of the scoring committee.
Okay, I'll get back in queue. Thank you.
Commissioner Caswell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to you might have just said this, so I know that a vote came not too long ago about extra food that was needed in the emergency of moving the $2 million to fund that particular act. There was some dollars that came from a prevention intervention grant. Is this connected to that ask for, I guess, cost of the emergency food needed? Is that connected to this contract or this something else?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. So Commissioner Caswell, in the current fiscal year, our original contract with Airmark was $6.1 million, which is not sufficient to cover the actual needs of providing food to our detainees because of the increase in population. Therefore, the additional $2,225,000 that was added and funded by the VCIF grant is also a part of this. We don't intend to expend all of those dollars in fiscal year 2026, but at least half of that. So this contract, this extension, does take into consideration both the general fund piece and what was provided out of the grant funds because it's not enough to cover, the amount in the general fund is not enough to cover our increased detainee population.
So I know the question been asked many times that because of the surge since the Memphis Safe Task Force, we have seen more people going into the jail. Have any leeway or conversation with the federal, state to help with some of this capacity? Because again, this added more to the budget because we see more people need to be fed in the jail. So you over the budget that you have. Is it any conversation being had there, or is it we just be getting no support to that ask?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Caswell, we have, it's green.
If you can move the microphone closer.
It's green, it's just not.
I'm sorry.
The light is green, it's just not, the volume is not.
Okay. Miss Lindsay, would you? And I just want to make sure that we're clarifying for the record, this was an extension, so it wasn't a new bid, so there would not have been a scorecard that would have been uploaded to the system, just so that there's clarity around that for the record.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Caswell, your question regarding have we reached out to federal partners to ask for additional funding? Not particularly for food service, but we have asked them for help in other areas. For example, we need additional space to house detainees, but we haven't been successful in that area either.
Thank you. And I just want to add, I know something was mentioned just on record about, and this not to you, I'm sorry, but to the public, about wonkiness of this body when it comes to contracts being asked. To those that look into the contract, of the one that was 40% of that contract was given to a minority woman, actually live in my district constituent that received that contract on the lawn curl that went out. So it was 55% of that contract went to that. So I just want to know that, like, you won't win them all, but when you have an opportunity for minority to get some of these contracts, and women, especially a black woman in our community, we should support that, and I did. So thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Sugarman.
Thank you. And so for the record again, I would like the original scorecard when it went out. And I understand this is an extension. And then my question then becomes, we have talked before about breaking up this contract, and I was wondering if there are any efforts to that, because as we had a small business to speak before the committee on Wednesday, that was one of the requests, is that we break up these contracts so they're more so that we can get local businesses to participate. And I was wondering, has there been any attention towards that with the RFP?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Sugarman, no, we've decided to keep it as one large contract, one, to keep the cost down. There's a hard issue with trying to get additional dollars with the budget and everything else. So when you think about breaking up the costs, having multiple vendors, you have to also think about the increased costs. So to answer your question, no, the contract or the RFP is still one large contract for both 201 Poplar and 6201 Haley.
Thank you. The next question is, I don't think you answered Commissioner Caswell's question. How much money have we received from the federal government to support the increases at 201 Poplar, et cetera? What's the dollar amount?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I believe Commissioner Caswell's question was regarding food, but if you're asking me in total, how much we're going to receive from the federal government, it's around $700,000, and that is specifically related to overtime for the work done on the Memphis Safe Task Force.
So you're not receiving like millions of dollars to offset the millions of dollars of costs?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I believe I've answered your question.
Okay, because I know I've read somewhere that in essence that the Sheriff's Department received $10 million, so I guess that wasn't true. Thank you.
Commissioner Thornton.
Thank you, Chair. Where can we access the quarterly reports that are mandated for this contract?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Specifically, right now, we're only getting invoices. We do, in our office, keep up with the number of meals served, the number of detainees and things of that nature, and we're happy to share that information with you.
So in the contract, and I believe that this is the contract, and I would love for legal to chime in on this, because these are the parameters that we're setting up. It has a reports section in section 4. The contractor shall prepare and submit quarterly reports of these activities funded under this contract to the originating department and to the contract administrator department of the county. The report shall include an itemization of the use of the county's funds and shall be inclusive of specific services delivered. So where can we find those things?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Thornton, we're happy to provide monthly invoices which capture that information.
So they're being provided monthly and it does include the itemization?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. If you could provide that to the entire body. And with that being said, I think it's interesting that we can justify an extension contract because of the increase in population. I'm just curious, once we're successful at decreasing this population, how that's going to also impact this contract. So do you have a unit price that you're going by to justify this $2 million increase? And can you tell us for the annual contract that it's currently under, I think, is it a 3-year contract? How much is that presently that they're in?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Thornton, the purpose of the item before you is because the current contract ends June 30th, 2026. And out of the abundance of caution, we want to make sure that we have a contract in place July 1st. An RFP was issued on March 24, 2026. There was a timeline. We received the vendor responses, and our team has scored it. As I mentioned earlier, those scorecards are going to purchasing today if they haven't gone already. So the purpose of this item before you, this contract amendment, is to ensure that we have services, that we can provide services on July 1.
So just going back to my original question, how much is the current contract?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. As I stated earlier, the current contract is $6.1 million, and we added to that contract by $2,225,000 earlier this fiscal year due to the increase in detainee population.
So we're saying that a contract, and that contract is over 1 year or multiple years?
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. The original contract was for 1 year with 2 one-year renewal periods. This is the final renewal period that ends June 30th, 2026, and therefore, to ensure that we are able to deliver services on July 1, it was recommended by our purchasing department that we go ahead and do a contract extension.
Commissioner Thornton, you've spoken 2 times. We'll need to do a suspension of the rules for you to speak a 3rd time.
I think the purchasing came down. Can we hear what he has to say?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. James Gloucester, Administrator of the Purchasing. First of all, I just want to speak. I want to make sure that this is a live, active RFP, and we cannot discuss budget or anything while it's live and active, to be fair to all of the bidders and not to tank the process. The second thing, I want to talk about what Commissioner Thornton spoke on, the amount of vendors that are solicited. When you guys see 34 or 100 vendors were solicited, that only means the purchasing team sent it out to those vendors. That doesn't mean they bid. They don't have to bid. We send it to them, give them the opportunity. That doesn't mean that they bid once we send those solicitations out.
Thank you, Chair. Just as a point of so the solicitation is because those businesses, when they sign up as well, I don't know what they sign up for anymore after MWBE, but when they sign up to work with Shelby County government, they assign themselves a commodity code. That's how they get on that solicitation list. So these businesses are saying that they do related business. So don't make it seem to the public like we're just, sending this out to randos. These are people who say they can do this business. And when these contracts come up, they want to be notified. So 46 people said that I do business like this. If you have a contract of this scope, email me. And that's what we did. But we did not see any local vendors be able to successfully bid. And this is historically an issue with Shelby County. The county commission has to step up to address it. We have yet to do it in 4 years, 8 years, I don't know how many years, but it is an ongoing issue. And just to Commissioner Caswell's
Thornton.
point, I just want to just
Commissioner Thornton.
say that
Commissioner
55%
Thornton,
can be broken down so that business can
Commissioner
actually
Thornton.
compete. Thank you.
If you want to speak, it's fine for you to be recognized. It's just one parliamentarian procedure to ask for a motion to suspend the rules. It's no problem with you wanting to have more time. I think just if we're asking for everyone to be respectful of the time that's allotted.
Chair, I would like to
more
make
than
a
happy.
motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, well, I think you've already spoken now. You've already done you've already spoken at this point.
You cut me off, so I didn't get to finish.
There's a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Seeing none, that motion fails. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen for a vote. Madam Clerk, please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Morrison, Brooks, Chairwoman Avant, Commissioner Thornton abstain. We have 9 ayes, 1 abstain.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 12.
Item 12 comes from the Public Works Committee, which is chaired by Vice Chair Bradford. Item 12 is a resolution approving a change order to the contract with Nixon General Contractors, Inc. for a no-cost time extension from the Big Creek Park Phase 1C amenities package as part of the National Disaster Resilience Competition Grant. This item does not require the expenditure of funds, sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford, Jr.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Whaley has moved the item. Commissioner Thornton has seconded the item. Seeing no commissioners in the queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Chairwoman Avant. We have 11 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 13.
Item 13 comes from the Public Works Committee, which is chaired by Vice Chair Bradford. Item 13 is a resolution approving a change order to the contract with Nixon General Contractors, Inc. for a no-cost time extension for the Big Creek Park Phase 2B Jones Boyd Trail Project as part of the National Disaster Resilience Competition Grant. This item does not require the expenditure of funds, sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford, Jr.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Mills. Seeing no commissioners in the queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, July, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Chairwoman Avent. We have 11 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 19.
Item 19 comes from the Facilities, Real Property, and Capital Improvements Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Wright. Item 19 is a resolution approving a lease agreement between the County of Shelby and the City of Memphis for approximately 17,106 square feet of office space located at 201 Poplar Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee 38103, for a term commencing upon execution through June 30, 2026, with a monthly rent amount of $25,659, with the option to extend the lease on a month-to-month basis for up to an additional 3 months after expiration of the term. This item does not require the expenditure of county operating funds, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Brooks, you're recognized.
May I get some information? May I get some information on exactly what is the space used for? What will it be used for?
Esther Sykes with Land Bank Administrator. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Look at Lana.
Oh, sorry.
Commissioner Brooks, she didn't hear your question.
Just,
Thank you.
I need some information, if you could give it to me, in reference to the purpose of this space. What will it be used for?
Thank you, yes. Esther Sykes with Land Bank Administrator. Currently, there is no written agreement between the City of Memphis and the county for the city's use in 201 Poplar. The city had requested a lease agreement for purchasing purposes, so that they've been paying the county. However, there's no contract in place. So purchasing requested that. And then we have the term will expire June 30th. They currently pay $18 per square foot. There will be a 3-month extension upon written notice. There is an acceleration clause of 125%. So if they hold over, it'll be 125%, except for the 12th floor, because the 12th floor is the City of Memphis Police Dispatch. They will only be subject to a 3% annual increase.
I'm sorry, so who's going to use this space?
The City of Memphis.
I mean, what division within the City of Memphis?
Oh, on the 12th floor is the City of Memphis, but on the lower levels, they have judges and judges' chambers. There's also an evidence room.
Okay, will it be the City of Memphis Attorney's Office? Will it be the City of Memphis Public Works? I mean, who's going to use it?
Esther Sykes, Land Bank Administrator. I don't have who uses which rooms. I simply have a list under Exhibit A. We have their judges' chambers, the city court clerks, the MPD bailiff and holding, and then divisions 1, 2, and 3 of the city court divisions, and the Memphis City Court prosecutors, Memphis City Court coordinators, the MPD property room, and the Memphis City Clerk. It's a total of 12,910 square feet.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. So I see that they are wanting to continue to use this space. This is the first lease, or is this a renewal of an existing lease?
Esther Sykes, Land Bank Administrator. There are no previous written agreements that we were able to find.
And how long has the City of Memphis been using this space without an agreement?
I don't have that information.
Why is everyone talking so soft today? The public needs to hear us, so can you speak louder so that we can hear what you're saying?
Yes, I'm sorry. We're having issues on this side as well, so perhaps there's some audio issues. I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, why or how long has the City of Memphis been using this space without a lease?
I do not have that information.
Who has that information?
I can research that for you and see what I can find. I would assume the City of Memphis, I would have to go to several different departments to gather that information. I don't think any one person would know that.
And so what is the necessity for us to establish a lease since we haven't historically had one?
The lease was requested by the City of Memphis. This also puts into terms in writing as to what will occur if they hold over at the end of the tenancy on June 30th.
I guess it sounds counterintuitive that someone who hasn't been paying will request to pay. Why are they desiring to all of a sudden have a lease?
I didn't catch the first part of your statement. I apologize.
I just said that it's counterintuitive for anyone to, in my mind, want to start to pay for something they haven't historically been paying for. So help the public understand what's the rationale for why they would initiate a lease agreement.
Understood. Thank you. Currently, they are paying lease, and that was part of the presentation. The City of Memphis Purchasing Department requested a formal written agreement because they have been paying, but without a contract in place. So that's where this all stemmed from.
And so that makes me ask many more questions. They've been paying without an actual agreement to legal. How is that possible? And what would be the guidance around the parameters of them paying without a lease? Who are they paying to?
Megan Smith, County Attorney's Office. I'm not aware of the historical position of this particular agreement, but there are many reasons why we would want to codify our relationship in some type of document, including liability reasons, maintenance reasons, and things like that. But I can pull historical information about those payments as well.
I will add that there are many agreements out there that are not written that the county is a part of. So this is not unique in nature.
Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. So I think this is interesting that because this has come up with the rental agreement with Millington in regards to the county clerk's office, and I think it's fascinating. How would we know, and this might be to legal as well, how many operators are currently paying county government for space that they are using, but they do not have any type of binding agreement governing those payments? Because a second ago, you didn't have any historical context for this particular historical arrangement, but then now we know that they've been making payments. Where's that information coming from? Who's the receiver of those payments? Who negotiated terms for those payments? We know that there's not anything governing it. I'm just curious, under whose administration did these type of arrangements get initiated?
Again, I don't know when this arrangement started. There are several verbal agreements out there that we've found as I've been at the land bank. And I'm more than happy to send over information as well to you. But under this one, no, I don't know when they began. As far as the clerk goes, I don't know when they started in Millington. I believe the county was a little bit more of a handshake type of agreement situation under previous administrations.
And I think to the public, when you hear the county does handshake business, it doesn't actually sound like business that we can hold ourselves accountable to and have full transparency around. I hope that the public has some issues with what they're hearing, because it's very concerning to me. And it's rather inconsistent for us to know of some handshakes, but we don't know how long we've been shaking hands. It just all seems odd to me. So I don't know if this is something that a Democrat or Republican would pick up as an issue, but it doesn't actually sound like it's passing the smell test. And to hear that we have these type of handshake agreements, and you're alluding to more of them that we just don't know. I don't know when that comes up. Maybe Mr. Budget Chair, if during the process you can help us understand where these dollars are coming from and what is governing them. But I would just like to know more information about how many more of these arrangements are existing within county government without formal agreements, and why all of a sudden these things are starting to avail themselves, because this could easily continue to have been a handshake, but my senses tell me that something is necessitating that this actually come to the light to be able to have a formal agreement. So I don't understand why someone who historically has just been doing it without agreement needs to get an agreement, but I would like to know that information. So I'll be asking some follow-up questions, and we'd love for you to send us the information that you come across to the entire body. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen for a vote. Madam Clerk, please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Morrison, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avon, Commissioner Thornton abstain. We have 10 ayes and 1 abstain.
I think there were 2 abstentions. Commissioner Brooks, did you abstain? Okay. She changed it, okay. That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 20.
Item 20 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee, which with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 20 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $2,500 to Memphis Retired Teachers Association, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $2,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford, Jr.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Caswell, can I have a committee report? Is there anyone else that was in committee that could?
I was there. It comes down with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Mills. Commissioner Wright, I apologize not asking about the committee report previously, so I didn't think that came down with a favorable recommendation, but my apologies. All right, we have 1 public comment card before we go into the queue. Johnny Young.
Good afternoon. My name is Johnny Young, Vice President of Memphis Retired Teachers Association. I'm representing the organization. We was informed by Commissioner Whaley's staff that we were being awarded, the Memphis Retired Teachers Association was being awarded a $2,500 grant for our scholarship program. So we just want to come and show our appreciation for the contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I have a couple of commissioners in the queue. Commissioner Brooks?
Mr. Young, thank you for taking the time to come down here to thank us for $2,500. Thank you for doing that. I pulled this off the agenda so that I could add to the amount. I was not present, so I'd like to add $2,500.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brooks to amend by $2,500, making that $5,000. I have a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we do that without objection? Okay, so moved. Commissioner Whaley?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to amend by $2,500.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Sugarman to amend by $2,500, making that $7,500. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Commissioner Sugarman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to amend this by another $2,500.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, second by Commissioner Thornton. Can we do that to make that 10,000? Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so move. Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to amend by 1,000.
I have an amendment, Commissioner Thornton, a second by Commissioner Sugarman, making that 11,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so move. Commissioner Lowry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you for all the work you continue to do. You know I've already donated, but appreciate it. It's always good to see you, and thank you for the work that you've already done. Thank you so much.
You know, we just want to come and, as I have shared, to come and show our appreciation because it is, as we all know, it's badly needed for the students that we're trying to identify.
Thank you, Mr. Young. So you came with to accept and thank us for $2,500, and you get to walk out with $11,000. So that's a wonderful thing. I wanted to also say there's other commissioners that have also contributed prior to this item. Commissioner Clay Bibbs and myself have already contributed to the CEP for the scholarship fund. So I'm glad that you were able to come down, and we appreciate your service. So if we could take this item to the screen for a vote.
Okay, am I done? Thank
Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Cadswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Lowry, Chairwoman Avant. We have 12 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 21.
Item 21 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee, which is with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 21 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $2,500 to Junior Auxiliary of Collierville, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $2,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford Jr.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Seeing no commissioners in queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. My apologies, Commissioner Cashwell. Thank you for the committee report that it came down with a favorable recommendation. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant, Commissioner Brooks abstain. We have 10 ayes, 1 abstain.
That item passes. Parliamentarian, please read item number 22.
Item 22 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 22 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $2,500 to Fraser Community PTSA, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $2,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Mikkel Lowry.
A motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Caswell can have a committee report.
Yes, ma'am. Favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, you're recognized.
I pulled that item in order to add another $2,500.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brooks, a second by Commissioner Caswell to amend by $2,500, making that $5,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant. We have 11 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 23.
Item 23 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 23 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $12,500 to Bartlett's Closet, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $12,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner McWright and Commissioner Amber Mills. This item was amended in May 13, 2026 committee meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Seeing no commissioners in queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. I'm sorry, Commissioner Caswell, committee report.
Favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant. We have Commissioner Brooks abstain. We have 10 ayes, 1 abstain.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 24.
Item 24 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 24 is a resolution warning county funds for the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $30,000 to Memphis Child's Advocacy Center, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $30,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Michael Whaley and Commissioner Mikkel Lowry. This item was amended in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Caswell, can I have a committee report?
This came out with a favorable recommendation.
Commissioner Clay Bibbs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to amend this by 5,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Clay Bibbs, a second by Commissioner Sugarman to amend by 5,000, making it 35,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant. We have 11 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 25.
Item 25 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 25 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $4,500 to Fraser Exchange Club Foundation, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $4,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Mikkel Lowry and Commissioner Charlie Caswell Jr.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Caswell, can I have a committee report?
Yes, this item came down with favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Brooks, you're recognized.
I move to add $1,500 to this item.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brooks and a second by Commissioner Sugarman to add 1,500, making this 6,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant. We have 11 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item number 27.
Item 27 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 27 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $10,000 to New Memphis Institute, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $10,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Matthew T. Shalai.
We have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, a second by Commissioner Caswell. Commissioner Caswell, can I have a committee report?
This item came down with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Whaley, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I've done before on this item, just want to disclose that my employer has a partnership with the New Memphis Institute, but there's no personal conflict. So I'd like to amend by 5,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Can we do that without objection, making that 15,000? Seeing none, so moved. Commissioner Thornton?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to amend by 1,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, a second by Commissioner Sugarman to amend by 1,000, making that 16,000? Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant. We have 12 aye votes.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 28.
Item 28 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 28 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $5,000 to Memphis Symphony Orchestra, Inc., a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $5,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Caswell can have a committee report.
This item came down favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Whaley, you recognize.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to amend this item by 10,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Sugarman to amend by 10,000, making it 15,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant, Commissioner Brooks abstain. We have 10 ayes, 1 abstain.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 30.
Item 30 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 30 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $100,000 to the City of Bartlett Police Department, a governmental entity. This item requires an expenditure of $100,000. The Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner McWright.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Mills. Seeing no commissioners in the queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Mills, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant, Commissioner Brooks abstain. We have 11 ayes, 1 abstain.
That motion passes. All right, colleagues, we're now moving into the regular agenda. I'm going to go a little bit out of order and bring one item up before the others. Parliamentarian, please read item 35.
Item 35 comes from the Public Works Committee, which is chaired by Vice Chair Bradford. Item 35 is a resolution approving the purchase of employee uniforms and accessories for the Shelby County Fire Department from Mid-South Solutions at a cost not to exceed $169,290 for the period of award through June 30th, 2026. This item requires the expenditure of FY 2026 fire enterprise funds in an amount not to exceed $169,290. Sponsored by Commissioner David C. Bradford Jr. This item was sent down without recommendation in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Caswell, can I get a committee report? Oh, I'm
Nope.
sorry.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bradford's not here. Is there someone else that could provide a committee report? Commissioner Mills?
This item comes to us without a recommendation.
Thank you. I have two comment cards. The first, Steve Baser, former commissioner, if you'd like to come forward, state your name and zip code.
Thank you. Thank you. Steve Baser, 38120. Came down here to speak on this today. I'm going to ask you all to vote no on this resolution, and I'll give you a couple quick reasons why. The bid itself is, I want to say that there are no legitimate supporting documents for this bid. If you look at the documents that are in your system, you will see that Mid-South Solutions, who was awarded the bid a total of $22,871.50. That bid magically transformed to $169,290 without any explanation. So somehow the bid number that they put on their form was taken and changed, and that's what you see before you today. So I'm going to say someone made an arbitrary and capricious decision. We also filed a protest, which was ignored by purchasing. I hand-delivered it to the purchasing department, so don't hear anything from purchasing about it got lost in the mail. I hand-delivered it to an administrative person there. You can check the videos and find out I was there when I dropped it off. I guess those are the biggest points that I'd like to say, and I would just say you have a duty to reject this. The honorable thing to do is to reject this. The thing with integrity is to reject this. The other reason we're here, we've enjoyed 2 years of having the fire department. I want to see them in uniforms as much as anybody else. The contract that we had could have been extended for another year, could have amended that contract, wouldn't have to go through this whole process, and they'd be in uniforms today, because it could have been done 6 months ago, 8 months ago. But somebody made a decision not to do that. We provided excellent service. I had no complaints that I know of, and I don't know a reason why this was even put out to bid. But it was bid. The bid was flawed. The response should have been rejected by Mid-South Solutions. They didn't fill out the paperwork correctly. Like I said, somebody magically transformed the numbers. There's only one option you have here today, and that's to vote no. And that's my humble opinion. And thank you for moving this up in the agenda. Today was the first day I had chemo. Got a ways to go. Thank you for your prayers, Commissioner Wright and everybody else. But I want you to know it's that important to me to be here instead of home resting with my daughters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baser. You are indeed in our thoughts and our prayers as you go through your journey. Our second public comment card is Brenda Baser. If you could state your name and zip code for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Brenda Salamito Baser, Alpha One Apparel, 5896 Garden Reach Cove, Memphis 38120. I have a copy of the presentation that I made in committee with all of the citings from both the bid conditions and the terms and conditions for this particular bid. We are asking that this be rebid for the various reasons, but mostly the numbers were not accurate in the video conference. Purchasing stated there was a problem with the Mid-South bid, and it was obviously $100,000 less than the other, and everyone, it was a professional bidder. Under this particular award scenario, Alpha One Apparel could have bid $200. We would have been the lowest bid, and then the numbers would have come in at the $169,290 that you're seeing here today. So I think a rebid would be fair. We do have standing in this since we were the current contract holder, and we still had 1 year left on our 2004 award. So it was unbeknownst to us that this was going to be rebid and that it would go through this process. It also states in this particular bid that it would go to a locally owned small business. Alpha One Apparel was the only locally owned small business that bid on this. So I'm asking you that we look at this and have a fair and transparent bidding process. And if anyone would like to see the presentation that I made in committee, it has all the discrepancies in the numbers without the backup documentation. So the bid packages that you have only reflect the 169, but you can see on the bid document that Mid-South's bid was $2,000 and change when everyone else has exceeded $200,000. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Baser. I have two commissioners in the queue. Commissioner Sugarman.
Thank you, and I'd like to hear from Director Glossner. They're stating that Alpha One Apparel, the current vendor, reportedly submitted a bid protest on January 20, 2026, and did not receive acknowledgement or response. And I just want to know what you have to say about that. And then I would like for somebody from the fire department to come to the podium and address whether or not this is a full total price, because it is not sufficient. What we have here is in the Granicus, it says purchase department, and it just has a unit price, but not a total price. And so address that, because I've received, as well as other commissioners, individuals, vendors who were not accepted because they were not in compliance.
James Gloss, Administrator of Purchasing. So there was a lot, so make sure I remember all of that. So the first statement that something was hand delivered to me, I never received anything in my hand. It was delivered snail mail, and I never received it at all. So I haven't spoke with him. We haven't received anything. The second thing, the documentation, I'm assuming that they did a public records request and got certain information, but they did not receive all the information from the bid packet. If you look on OnBase, it lists the purchasing recommendation, which has the full prices. The sheets that they showed you guys with that 2,800 something on there, if you look at it, it says unit pricing, total, not the total, unit pricing. And they also submitted a spreadsheet that breaks down that unit price. When you take that unit price and do the math, you get the bid price. That's where it came from, and you guys should have thought it was in OnBase to where you
Yes,
have
we did, and we also have emails from other vendors who were not in compliance for filling it out completely as, recommended. You're correct, it just has the unit price. It does not have the breakdown. And so then I would like to also, the fire department, if somebody can tell me, is this a complete bid or not? Excuse me, let them speak, please. Thank you.
Eric Jackson, Deputy Chief, Shelby County Fire Department. What was your question again, Commissioner?
Is this a full, everything in this, because it is not broken down to what this applies to? Like, is everything that you wanted in this bid? If not, what's missing? This is not clear.
Nothing's missing in this bid that Mid-South bid.
So everything is there, because it's not listed, it's not broken down.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so no ma'am what?
The total bid is $600 per employee per firefighter. You multiply that by 270, you come up with 162,000, 8,000 added for badges and things like that, the accessories that we need.
I'll get back in the queue. Thank you.
Commissioner Caswell.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to read what we see as in the summary sheet. 29 vendors received direct solicitation, 17 local, 12 non-local, 5 firms submitted bids, 1 was deemed non-responsive, 2 of them were local, 2 of them non-local, and this is awarded to a local vendor. And so I'm just trying to follow along the comments that were made by the public about the misrepresentation of figures. I see where Alpha One is the lowest bidder. Can you just fact check what has been expressed or help us understand where they're getting their information and how we can cross-reference?
James Gloss, Administrative Person. Like I say, I'm assuming that they got a public records request, but didn't get all of the information from the packet. And they probably requested certain information, but didn't get everything in the packet. One thing I want to address for the record, I think they mentioned that there was an option to renew, which
It's up to the department to determine if they want to renew the contract or not. And based on the increase of that contract, within the contracts, you have a 5% threshold that you can increase if you want to increase. They went well above that with their increase. That's why the department made that decision
And
not to renew.
to the department, do we currently work with Alpha One Apparel for any other purchasing?
You say, do we, Eric Jackson, Shelby County Deputy Chief, are we currently
Mr.
working
Jackson,
with?
could you pull the microphone down just a bit? Thank you.
Your question was, are we currently working with Alpha One for other items?
Yeah, any other contracts do we have with Alpha One Apparel?
Not at this time, we don't.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Commissioner Wright?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I spoke briefly in committee on this as well, and I thought I would be saying something different today because typically, I think as I shared in committee, as I shared last time this came up on a Monday in our full meeting, that I tend to side with the administration or the department, whoever is requesting our assistance in executing this contract, in particular here, outfitting first responders. I think that's extremely important. And so I intended to vote yes, even though I am friendly with the former commissioner and sympathetic to his situation, praying for him. However, I am looking at the documents here, and in particular the attachment non-base. It says purchasing recommendation. If you open that up and look at pages 8 and especially page 9, it says total price and signature must be on this form, and the total listed there is $2,871. I get that there's an attachment, there's itemized pricing, but according to this and my read of it, it appears that the bidding company incorrectly filled this out. That's my read of it. If you'd like to challenge me on that, but it says that on pages 8 and 9 that the total bid is $2,871. Again, I get that there may be a claim of unit price and a itemized list, but I cannot on this face, I don't have assurance that this wasn't miscompleted somehow. Correct me if you'd like to.
I'm sorry. Based on the form, the top left, it says unit price for this type of bid. It expresses that they want them to put the unit price. So that 28 is the total of their unit price, and the spreadsheet has the math on the unit price is that total for the unit price that was requested on the form. But the overall bid pricing was calculated to come out to what they actually bid. And both of them, everyone had the opportunity to put their unit prices down. So they can get, the department can get a breakdown on the unit price for each item that's selected on the spreadsheet. But the form does say unit price.
I just simply don't see it, Madam Chair. I see a column for unit, but that aspect is completely not filled out. That's just my personal, how I see it. Thank you.
Commissioner Caswell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, this was a seal bid, right? And so I see on here that it was awarded to a local bid. And so, my only concern here when we talk about resubmitting it and putting it back out is that it's out there now, public, right? We know how much it is. So there's no way, even to this local person who won, that this is going to be fair if we go back out and it was a sealed bid. And that means that no one was able to see this when it came in, right? And I understand, to our commissioner, as he talked about being the one having the opportunity to appeal it, because you said it had to come back at least 5%, but it was well over 5%. What was the amount over? Was the percentage over that amount for the uniforms, if you know?
Eric Jackson, Deputy Fire Chief, Shelby County Fire Department, is 43% increase is what it was.
Yeah. Okay. And Commissioner, I see you saying Yeah, if you can come up. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, if it's okay.
Yes.
Let's not mix apples and oranges here. If you took our original bid from 2024 and applied the additional quantities at the fire chief, we would have had a much lower number. It would have been a totally different number. So it's not appropriate to compare the $331,000. The Mid-South Solutions bid is $220,000 plus. So somehow magically, if you extend out the math on their bid, it was over $200,000. And why are you today voting on it? And there's a number on that paper that's $169,000. There's no math that gets their bid to that number with the documents provided. You can't vote for this. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. But it's apples and oranges. If you took our original bid from 2024, just increase the dollar amount to $169,000, that amount would be over the 5%, but you could still have amended the contract to make that happen. And we would have honored that bid, but we had to rebid. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Sugarman?
Thank you. And so my thing is about being consistent. There have been many, many vendors who were deemed unresponsive because of one little thing they didn't include, such as this. So if we're going to be consistent, let's be consistent throughout the process. And this is not being consistent. I have emails from vendors who said, well, I didn't do this, that, and the other. And according to the purchase department, they were considered unresponsive. So again, we have to be consistent across the spectrum. And I want to move to send this back out for a rebid so we can be fair to all vendors. Otherwise, we're going to have people coming up and say, well, this was considered unresponsive, but yet on this date and time, you allowed another vendor who did not check all the boxes correctly as specified, but you allowed that contract to proceed. And so we got to be consistent. Otherwise, I can see some people, not only this vendor, but other vendors who we denied in the past would have standing as well. So I'm asking, let's just send it back out, let the chips may fall, but vendors have to follow the protocol. But if we're going to start making exceptions, this is going to open a whole can of worms, and we cannot afford to be in another lawsuit. So again, I'm asking, my motion is to send this out for a rebid.
So Commissioner Sugarman, that's not a proper motion. You can either vote the item up or down.
Well, we need to vote up and down then.
Well, that's part of the process, but the motion can't be to
Well, I'm
send it out.
encouraging.
Okay.
I'll change it to encouragement. Because again, otherwise, I have several vendors who has some similar issues, but was deemed non-responsive. And I know because some of the commissioners forwarded them to me because that one of them happened to be my zip code. So again, we're opening up a can of worms. So I'm encouraging my colleagues to vote this one down so we can look at this again. Thank you.
Commissioner Morrison?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I concur with the assessment of Commissioner Sugarman and Commissioner Wright that the numbers don't make sense. If I see the bid and then I see the pages that Commissioner Wright referenced, and I don't see how you get there either. So I think that's a problem for your office.
James Gloss, administrative person, you guys are not looking at the entire bid package that was sent to the vendors. That is not, there's pieces of what was in the document. That is not the entire document. And also, if we put this out to bid again, which we've already tainted the process, and if I was a vendor, I would go bid exactly what these numbers are and be lower. I would definitely do that. If we put this out, the whole is tainted right now. If you put this back out for bid, everybody knows. I don't have a business, but I'll bid for it just by listening to this.
So, Mr. Gloucester, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I think just walk the commissioners through what the entire bid packet would have been, since there's a discrepancy in what we're seeing, what they're seeing now, and what is being projected, I guess, in on base. So if you could just walk us through that, I think it helps provide clarity so people understand. And I just want to caution my colleagues when there are sealed bids, and we are now, whether you voted up or down, just think of the implications when there's a sealed bill process and we do vote this down. To Mr. Gloucester's point, I think we do have to be mindful of those types of implications. Mr. Gloucester?
All right. James Gloucester, Administrator Person. So how the process starts, every vendor has the opportunity to submit their bids, the information. When it comes back, the purchase team gets all the vendors involved, and we have a call, and they can hear the pricing. We don't even open it until the scheduled meeting and read out I don't know if you guys still have this with all the pricing. We read this out to all the vendors, and I think one of them mentioned that they were there. I don't know if they heard it correctly, but we read all of this information out in front of all of the vendors. There is not a scoring process for this. It's strictly on lowest and best. Lowest doesn't mean you're always going to get it. It's also the best based on the department to know the technical needs of their scope of work. Once we go through that process, based off this scoring, we still send our recommendations to the department. They review it and can make a decision. They agree or they don't agree. If they don't agree, they have to justify why they don't agree going with the lowest vendor. There's and contracts has everything, we submit everything, the entire packet bids that we have on all the scoring. That is not complete. I'm assuming they asked for public records requests and got certain information, but not the whole bid to how the math was done. And the departments, they got all the information, they went through it, they reviewed the math, but that is not a complete way of how.
And Mr. Gloucester, I think what I was trying to get us to is, based on the documents that we have, which were the things that were uploaded into the system, there's what commissioners are questioning are the numbers on certain pages that were uploaded. So, Commissioner Wright, I'm going to allow you just, if you could, what you were asking was the discrepancy. And I don't know if Mr. Gloucester, if you have that information, or if someone can, but Commissioner Wright, if you would just walk through that again so that we can make sure that we have an understanding.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Gloucester, and again, I appreciate you. I'm not challenging you or what you're saying. I understand you're in a tough position trying to walk us through this. What I'm looking at is an attachment in our system. It's the attachment called Purchasing Recommendation. And if you open up that document, I believe I see the summary page that you were just holding up a moment ago. That's on page 2. I guess my question would be, how do we get to that summary number, which in this case is 169,290? If you scroll down to pages 8 and 9 of that same document, which appears to be the bid that the vendor filled out, and on those pages it says total price and signature must be on this form. The unit column is blank, and the total amount listed is $2,871.50. I don't know what math you get from, there's not a unit listed, so there's not math that I can perform from that total to even get to that summary number. Could you walk us through maybe how you got to the summary number?
James Gloucester, Administrative Person. I don't have the document right in front of me. I'm trying to go off memory. So thinking on that same sheet you're looking at, there's another parenthesis that mentions a spreadsheet and itemizing things on that spreadsheet. And that's what they did. They supplied a spreadsheet with those itemizations that came to that total. Now, there's other documents that were submitted also that shows the math. So an example, one line item was probably say a shirt and 75 cents. So once you do the math on 100 items for 75 cents on the sheets that they submitted, we don't have in front of us, that's how it came up with the math. But I don't have them in front of me, but that clearly states that there's a spreadsheet that they had to submit in parentheses, because all the units you cannot line up. That's a lot of units on this bid that you could not put on that one sheet. So that's why I was referenced on the spreadsheet.
So colleagues, if you look at the last two documents, which I think are attached as a spreadsheet, I think what Mr. Gloucester is explaining is that instead of there being one unit price because there's various items at different prices, they've done the breakdown of all of the items, which gets to the 169,000. And there not being one particular item that was at 200 plus, there's several items that are listed on the last two pages. Is that correct, Mr. Gloucester?
James Ross, administration person, correct.
Commissioner Caswell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that helps out a lot too, because to that point, this was issued to everybody, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
this line items is what came back. But my only concern to this body is that when we go down this road, if I'm the other vendor at this point, my concern is, and to the attorney, we probably should have been in executive session with this instead. I think we put out, we're in a tough situation right here. If everybody got this process and everybody put their numbers on the same process, and again, I hear you, Commissioner, is that, and then this was sent in, this was approved, it's a sealed bid, I'm gonna be concerned that if I did everything that I was supposed to and didn't have nobody to call and say that they can pull this for me or look at this for me, and they looked at my bid and I won the bid, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. It just, this is a tough situation that I wouldn't, because everything is sure. If everybody got the same thing and it went into a CL bid, and you pulled it and you chose me, and now you're going to tell me because of whatever discretion, again, hearing the commissioner that he felt like the appeal wasn't done in time and what have you, but we don't have that in front of us. We have this in front of us. And this is what we're going to have to decide on. And if I was this person, I would be calling my attorney because that's what's going to happen. So, I mean, it's hard. I'm really torn not to say that it's hard, because if everybody had the same thing and you got the numbers here, and to Commissioner Wright, I hear your point, and I see the spreadsheet, and I calculating some of the numbers, and I see how I got to that number. I mean, that's where I'm at. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Colleagues, I appreciate the latitude for us just to walk through the process. I want to make sure that there was a clear understanding of that. Commissioner Mills, you're recognized.
Thank you. I just have a question about the process from this point forward. Two decisions possible here that I see. I mean, voted up or down, obviously. I guess it's a question for legal and procedurally and time-wise, because we're up against the end of the year at the same time with the funding. Where are we? Because we need to put all that into our decision as well. So where are we on those three? Legally, procedurally, and what about the money?
I'll let Attorney Smith answer the legal, and then we'll move from there.
Megan Smith, County Attorney's Office, as it was captured earlier, but the body can vote it up or vote it down today. You can also procedurally refer it or defer it. I will defer to purchasing on whether or not there's an option to, after you vote it down, whether or not this survives for other negotiations. I would defer to you, Mr. Gloucester.
Mr. Gloucester?
James Gloucester, administrative person. If the commission does vote this down, I would say it would have to start all the way over, no negotiations, to be fair, to try to get it back to a good process that's fair for everyone. I would say do it over, but that leads to, and I'm gonna steal his thunder, these are FY26 funds, and I'm sure the fire department, they need their uniforms, and we're gonna stretch it out even further because our department we're working on multiple bids, and if we do rebid this, it's not gonna be done overnight. It's gonna get, it's no telling when we can get to this, but these are FY26 funds, and it's a totally different conversation. I don't know if they have I'll let them say it, but I don't know if they have the funds in 27 to even wait. So I'll let him speak on that piece. But Chief, if you want.
Eric Jackson, Deputy Fire Chief, Shelby County Fire Department. We're at the end of the year, and so where we are with this, we started in September with this process. As you know, this is a MOU item that has been negotiated between between the union and the administration, with an agreement that each firefighter will receive $600 uniform allotment annually. Well, if we do not get this annual money in FY26, then we're kind of going against the MOU. So firefighters have been waiting for their uniforms for the whole year. And believe me, I've been getting phone calls and just everything about it, and it's still going through this process, and that's what I tell them. And so now we're here today at the end of the line, and to put this back out, well, there's no time to do that and get them their uniforms for this fiscal year. It's just impossible to do that at this time.
Commissioner Mills, did that answer your?
Well, this is a pickle. This is a huge pickle, obviously. So we've got basically a month and a half to, if it goes out for rebid, to go through the whole process. And after it comes to us, it then has to go through the back end process to then eventually get the money to the firefighters. I don't see that happening before June 30th. But if we don't, help me out here. Because the firefighters have not had uniforms. I mean, there's 2 new classes that they haven't even had the experience to go buy uniforms yet. I'm worried about the timeline on this. And going through the whole process. But then I don't know. I hope somebody has a good question after me to help. Thank you. I do have one more question with my remaining second. Could this be amended somehow? We don't normally amend contracts on the floor is the problem. I'm stretching, grasping.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Right. Madam Clerk, please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Caswell, Shalai, Thornton, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avant, Commissioner Bibbs, Clay Bibbs, Sugarman, Mills, Wright, Morrison abstain. We have 7 ayes, 5 abstain.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item number 32.
Item 32 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 32 is an ordinance fixing the tax rate for Shelby County at blank for the tax year 2027, sponsored by Commissioner Michael Whaley. This item was sent down without recommendation in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
Have Have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Whaley, could I get a committee report?
Yes, Madam Chair, this comes down without recommendation.
Okay. Seeing no commissioners in the queue, knowing that this is the first reading of our tax rate. We have 2 more to go. Welcome, Commissioner Shalahe. Now the fun begins. Please prepare the screen for a vote. Yes, I did. I stated this was first reading. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Shalai, Wright, Thornton, Morrison, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avon, Commissioner Mills abstain. We have 11 ayes, 1 abstain.
All right, that motion passes. This moves on to the second reading. Madam Parliamentarian, please read item number 33.
Item 33 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 33 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $32,500 to SBW Community Strategies, Inc., a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $32,500 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Henry E. Brooks. This item was deferred in April 27, 2026 Commission meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Seeing no commissioners in the queue, please prepare the screen for a vote. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Shalai, Thornton, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avon, Commissioners Mills, Wright, Morrison abstain. We have 9 ayes, 3 abstain.
That motion passes. Parliamentarian, please read item 34.
Item 34 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 34 is a resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 operating budget to reallocate and appropriate $18,015,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance to fund public safety expenses, including overtime payments, operational materials, and unanticipated food service costs. This item requires the reallocation and appropriation of general fund unassigned fund balance in the amount of $18,015,000, sponsored by Commissioner McWright and Commissioner Amber Mills. This item does not meet requirements of permanent rules. It was sent down without recommendation in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman, a second by Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Whaley, can I have committee report?
Yes, this item comes down without recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Sugarman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to hear from the Director of Finance first before I speak.
I'm sorry, my apologies, Commissioner Sugarman. Before we do that, can we get a motion to suspend the rules since it did not meet the requirements? A motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Caswell. Can we do that without objection? All right. I'm sorry. Commissioner Sugarman.
Again, thank you, Chair. I'd like to hear from, okay, well, I would like to ask questions of Director Tipton. And what is the fund balance policy? And could you go into that as well as $18 million from the general fund, unassigned fund balance, and what does that impact? And also, how does it impact the bonds as well?
Audrey Tipton, Director of Administration and Finance. First question, this was not approved by Finance, and the reason that we're not approving this is because it will have a significant impact on our fund balance. I do not disagree that the overtime cost for the Sheriff's Department is expensive, but right now our financials cannot support an $18 million decrease to our fund balance. We just finished the FY25 audit and we ended at 79 million, which is well below our unassigned fund balance, is well below the policy limit for our fund balance. So therefore, as much as this looks like that it is needed, I cannot approve it. I cannot say, yes, this is something that we should do. And I also wanted to point out the increase to overtime costs for the Sheriff's Office has risen over 116% over the last 5 years. It continues to rise. I do recommend that we look at the processes in the Sheriff's Department to see what is causing this increase. Last year was 27 million. This year is projected to be 27 million. The year before that, it was 18 million. The year before that, it was 16. It just continues to go up. And the county financially cannot support that. So I'm asking that you look at that as well as making a decision on whether or not you want to accept increasing or decreasing the fund balance by 18 million.
And we do have a new commissioner here as well as listening public. So what is the fund balance policy for the record?
It should be 30% of the revenue, so it's less than that right now.
What is it currently?
Currently, it's hard to say because the year has not ended yet. The way the process works, we gauge the fund balance at the end of the year once all of the expenditures have come in for the fiscal year and we've accrued for any expenditures for the fiscal year, and then we determine what the fund balance is. Right now, our cash is low. You may remember in September when we had to do the loan from the debt service in order to pay all of our expenditures that we have. So we're not liquid. We get the money at the end of the year for what you budget for the year. We do a balanced budget for the year, and we get the money throughout the year, primarily between December and March. So we went cash poor around September and had to borrow from the debt service fund in order to keep paying all of our bills. Now, if we take this 18 million, that's going to happen sooner than September. It's probably going to happen around August.
Thank you. And I'll get back in the queue. Thank you.
All right, before we take the other commissioners, let me just go ahead and get the public comment card, and then we'll get back to the other commissioners that are in queue. Ms. Glenda Hicks. You can state your name and zip code.
Glenda Hicks, 38109. So, when I saw this on the agenda, I had serious concerns with 18 million. It sounds like someone did not budget well, to put it bluntly, okay? And my concern is that how long do we continue down this road of letting various departments come before you when they did not budget well, they did not assess their needs, and they come with a massive amount like $18 million. This shows absolutely zero respect for taxpayers' monies, and it's very shameful, to be honest with you. It shows complete irresponsibility. So I'm like, what is the specific breakdown of the need for these funds? Exactly where is this money going? Yes, it says overtime and it mentions a few other things generally, but nothing in specifics. And why is it that a department that understands their responsibility, why is it that they're allowed to extend and overextend themselves, seemingly confident that they can come before this commission and get whatever they need or whatever they deem necessary? So this is of great concern, great concern. And is any of this money, any of this, does this have anything to do with the task force? Do any of these dollars have anything to do with what was put upon us without our request, without our approval? I would appreciate those questions being answered. Thank you.
Commissioner Whaley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think there's still some work that needs to be done on this. I don't think it's in a posture to vote on today. I mean, certainly there could be potentially other funding sources that, not to say fund balance might not have to be a part of it, but I do think we need to look at, what's already been appropriated and what's possible here to satisfy this additional expense. Because I would agree that pulling 18 million out of fund balance today doesn't seem like the way to go. So with that, I also don't believe that we're going to solve that right now. So I'm going to make a motion to refer this to 27th committee.
I have a motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by Commissioner Bibbs to refer this to the May 27th committee meeting. Can we do that without objection?
Madam Chair, I'd like to object just so that we can hear from Chief Lindsay.
Okay, I have an objection. All right, so we'll go to Chief Lindsay.
Good evening, Commissioners. Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. I want to agree with Ms. Hicks. I do believe there's been an issue with budgeting. So for the last 3 years, I know the Shelby County Sheriff's Office has come before this body asking for an increased amount of overtime. And each year, that amount has been denied. Each year, we're told by finance, if you have an issue, if you need money, come back and see us. And then we get this response that the money is not available. I also want to point out that this body has approved on August 2025, you approved money to go to the corrections fund because they were short. You approved money to go to cover some grants. A couple of weeks ago, you approved $5 million for the health department because something else was not budgeted correctly. So this document, the sheriff and the mayor have gone through mediation. They've come up with a resolution, and I think it's important for this body to vote on it. Otherwise, there will probably be more litigation. So we've asked finance for other alternatives. We've asked them about, is there money available in a grants fund? Because in account, I think it's 10010, 201-201-9099. Earlier this year, that was $7 million available. We've asked if there's any other money in salary restrictions where you can increase the salary restriction in other departments and reduce it in hours. Because part of this issue is because our salary restriction has gone up from $32 million to now $50 million. And so with the increase of detainees and people coming into the jail, we've had to have more employees work in areas such as jail intake. So that's also increasing our cost. And then when you think about in January 2025, we received a 6% salary increase. Then July 1st, 2025, we also received a 3% salary increase. So all of those items implicate the cost of overtime. It's a factor of the overtime rate. So when you think about all those things, and it's not like the sheriff's office hasn't said we don't need money. We come and tell you every year we need money. And through this fiscal year, we haven't received any financial statements since December 2025. The only thing we can get out of Oracle is, we download from the budgetary controls, and we're getting a little bit of data. But we really don't have any data to rely upon. And the data we do have shows that we've already exceeded overtime, and we're already projected to be over budget. So we can push the can down the road, but I'm I'm concerned about those implications as well.
All right, so I have commissioners in the queue. I'm going to ask her to clear the screen. If you're speaking, clear the screen. If you're speaking now, you're speaking on the motion to defer, to refer it to the committee meeting. Commissioner
Point
Caswell?
Madam Chair, point of information, please.
Sure.
I do need to ask Ms. Lindsay if she knows what part of this money, or if all of this money is related to the Safe Task Force activities.
Okay.
Alicia Lindsay,
So,
Chief
before,
Administrative.
I'm sorry, let's just, if you could just get in the queue, because you can, this is about the referral, but I think, yes, if you can get in queue, and then we'll start the
Well, that
clock.
was gonna help me. Okay. I'll get in queue.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Brooks, it would be hard to quantify because you have the Memphis Safe Task Force where you have various individuals that are assigned specifically to the Memphis Safe Task Force. Then you have jail overtime because there's a higher population in the jail and you don't have a full complement of corrections deputies in the jail. Then you also have the increased detainee population that's coming into jail intake, and it's requiring more staff to deal with getting those detainees input and processed. So it's very difficult to quantify exactly how much is related to the Memphis Safe Task Force.
That was not my question. I'm back in queue. The question was, Ms. Lindsay, if any of this money is related, but basically you've answered it because you said the Memphis Safe Task Force assignments, which was related to them, and then you got the detainee population increase, which is a manifestation of that group, and then whatever the other group. So now we need to disaggregate the amount.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Yes, Commissioner Brooks, that's correct. When we code it in our system, when an officer is assigned specifically to the Memphis Safe Task Force, yes, we can quantify that. But when it comes to increased detainee population, that might not be quantified as Memphis Safe Task Force. Or when you're talking about all the increased number of detainees coming into the jail, and we have people working overtime to process them, that may not be quantified as Memphis Safe Task Force because they're not. Some individuals come in related to the Memphis Safe Task Force arrest and some don't. And we don't have a way of quantifying that.
Well, I'm not a sheriff's deputy, and I don't intend to. I'm not trying to play one, and I'm not telling you how to do your business, but if that increase, that population increase happened around or about the same time as the activities of the Safe Task Force, then we can a reasonable person would assume.
Alicia Lindsay, Chief Administrative Officer, Shelby County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Brooks, that's not 100% accurate because even before the Memphis Safe Task Force came into the city of Memphis, there was an increase of detainee population. Our numbers show that. So you can't really say what is Memphis Safe Task Force and what isn't.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and Collins, I just want to keep us confined to the motion before us, right? Which is whether or not we need to refer this to committee. So the time sensitivity of this matter, based on the motion that Commissioner Whaley made, and use of fund balance for this particular item. So Commissioner Caswell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And CL, again, and I guess the director, you can help me too. But one of the things, and I appreciate what you just shared with Commissioner Brooks, I think that we can say that a lot of this overtime is contributed to, because when you talk about what my constituents shared about the budgeting piece, like when this budget was done before June 30th, well, let's say July the 1st, Safe Task Force came in October. We went from 4,000 people to 7,000 and some people arrested. And so we started to hear the news and we started to see the long intake, all of the other factors there. I'm looking at the breakdown of overtime here in the exhibit. And I'm sorry.
Commissioner Caswell, I really want us to keep, we're on the deferral, and we could vote on the objection, to
Yeah.
vote that down so that we could get back to the substantive item before us, which I would encourage us to do so that we could have more of this conversation.
Okay.
So I think, and you can make the motion again, Commissioner Whaley, after that, but I think just to get us so that we can stay on topic, like the motion is just on the, on the referral. So we could vote this item up or down to send it to, back to committee, to refer to committee, so that we could get back to that substantive item and then have more discussion.
Okay.
So if
Well,
you're voting no, then you're voting no to refer. Now, that motion can be made again by another commissioner or by Commissioner Whaley. So that would be my recommendation, just so that we could have these substantive questions and
Okay.
answered.
all
So,
right.
please. Yes, you could have more robust discussion.
Ma'am.
Commissioner Thornton, I just want,
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Can I withdraw my objection?
okay, you withdraw your objection. Okay. So, but if you withdraw the rejection, then we then still have to go vote. Oh, we don't have to vote. That's right. That's right. Commissioner Thornton. Yep, we can do that without objection. I'm sorry, Commissioner Caswell, a lot going on. Yeah, so I will let, I'm gonna let Commissioner Caswell restart his time so that he can, since he's withdrawn the motion on the referral. He's withdrawn the objection to the referral, so we can get back to the substantive issue, okay? The item before us.
No. So there was a motion made.
Mhm.
So we're just speaking to the motion. The motion was made to refer back to committee. There was an objection. He withdrew his objection. So unless there's any discussion around the referral, because when you refer it, that's when you go take it back to committee to discuss on the merits. If you want to make objection because you want to continue to discuss it here, then you can make the objection. Otherwise, anything in the queue is about the referral, such as we need to take this up now because it's time sensitive, something like that. Because right now, the motion before us is referral, so discussion is around the motion to refer.
So it seems like it would be better for the objection to be, to stand. We vote on that objection. And
Unless you want to send it back to committee.
unless you do want to send it back to committee, but that allows for more substantive discussion here with the item. So, Commissioner Thornton, is it on the referral? Okay. Commissioner Caswell, is it on the referral? Okay. So we're going to vote the item up or down to refer to committee. Again,
There seems like there might not be any objection.
there's no objection.
Just a point of information, is another option for the initial maker of the motion to withdraw? If he removes his objection, we're back on the main motion.
No, I'm still making the motion. I mean, I think this still needs some work on the numbers and the sources. And I think like the actual amount that's pulled from fund balance may not be this exact amount. So I think it's prudent to make sure we've aligned on what the sources are. Like, I mean, I think we can debate the legitimacy of the expenses, but I'm looking at more in terms of the revenue streams that meet this need. And I do not think it's in a position now where if we can vote yes and just pull 18 million out of fund balance without looking at some other sources. So that's the reason to refer it, because that's not going to be solved tonight.
So if I may, Madam Chair, I would
Speak on
like
the
to.
referral.
Yeah, I would like to make comment on the referral.
Okay, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. So I can't really sense where the votes are right now for the referral, but I would like for us to talk substantively about the item today. And so that's where my ask of the maker of the motion, if you could do that after those of us that want to get in queue could just speak on the item, because what I've seen when we have these larger items is that even going through another passive committee, it's not a lot of time for us to be able to really unpack it. So I think the questions that people have today would at least allow the administration and the Sheriff's Department to come into the next discussion with information so that we can keep it moving, rather than the questions that we have today having to wait until committee to get picked up and be asked. So I would just love for all those people that were in queue just a second ago to be able to ask their questions and for us to set up your motion just at a later time in this discussion. Thank you.
Okay, so again, because there is a motion on the floor procedurally, it needs to be about the referral. We can, if there's an objection, but which has been withdrawn, so we either can vote that item up or we can move with no objection unless someone does have an objection. Commissioner Wright has removed his objection. So the item before us is we're referring to committee on May 27th. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. The item is referred. Okay. Testing me tonight. Parliamentarian, please read item 35. Oh, I'm sorry, item 36.
Yes, ma'am. Item 36 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 36 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Shelby County, Tennessee, amending Resolution Number 18, adopted August 25th, 2025, to establish additional accountability, reporting, and eligibility requirements for the Community Enhancement Program, CEP, as administered by the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, sponsored by Commissioner Erica Sugarman. This item was amended in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, second by Commissioner Sugarman. Commissioner Caswell, can I have a committee report?
This item came down without a recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Sugarman, you're recognized.
I'm sorry, this came down with a favorable recommendation.
Okay. Commissioner Sugarman, you're recognized.
Thank you. And so be it further resolved that after receiving a simple majority vote, I'd like to amend this because it says on the third reading. This is a resolution, doesn't need a third reading. So I'd like to make a motion to strike on the third reading.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sugarman to amend the language. Second by Commissioner Thornton. Can we do that without objection? Okay, seeing none, so moved. Commissioner Sugarman, anything else?
Yes, and so this is a resolution, it just deals with the CEP, and when we discussed this in committee, I heard from my colleagues, and they were saying that they wanted to be more robust in the sense that to include not only just the CEP for the commissioners, but grants in general. And the rationale behind this came from other conversations and from the public expressing their concern about, in particular, the commissioner's CEP, the lack of accountability, oversight, transparency, et cetera, et cetera. And this is just for us, and I will be bringing an ordinance later on as far as the grants in general, as far as oversight, transparency, and the most important part is the clawback, because right now there is no clawback. And there's an issue because right now, as far as the commission is concerned, when we give out CEP, they're supposed to be, according to our rules, and I don't see the parliamentarian, is that they're supposed to be reporting to us. And we don't always ask them to report. A lot of times, we assume some things, but we need to have some consistency throughout the process, whether it's CEP, whether it's the grants, et cetera. But this is just for our office. So thank you.
Commissioner Caswell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I was prepared to bring an amendment. I am still prepared to bring an amendment to this because I cannot support this as it stands. When I really started to look at the way that it is, I support the accountability all the way, but I don't support the fact, even when I asked my colleague in committee what brought this to play. Outside of what we know with a former colleague, I haven't heard anything about any non-profit being held doing anything outside of what they're supposed to be doing. To that point is that when we look at this, €5 in this thing, it's a €5 if a nonprofit, we're talking about small nonprofits that are doing great work in our community, are going to be penalized for €5. We as a government already show that we're not putting real dollars towards the root cause issues that ending many of these individuals up into 201 popular, where we're paying more later than we paying now, and with nonprofits doing the work that they're doing. I'm prepared to bring the amendment, but I would ask to the sponsor, I really wanted to put this back into committee because I got 6 amendments to this. I'm prepared to share the document to these amendments today. If this body choose to vote this, want to take this to vote, because I think that this is going to hurt the small, and we're not building capacity around the small nonprofits that's going to be hurt. My colleague spoke about chambers and spoke about Arise Memphis that receive big grants. So here we're going to penalize small organizations based off what big organizations done in this matter. Again, I'm just asking this body to, I'm gonna make a motion to send it back to committee so that we can go deeper and bring these forward and have a time to discuss this and not have to do all of this tonight. So I have a motion to move it back to committee.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Caswell to refer to committee. Is that the May 27th, the next committee meeting?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Clay Bibbs. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so Commissioner Brooks.
Well, I don't want to be out of order, so the rules allow for me to speak at this
Commentary.
time.
I didn't have any objections, so would you like to object?
I
Well,
don't want to object. I just
typically, when
want
it's
a point of order.
Oh, I thought you just said parliamentarian.
Well, I'm trying to find a way to speak without objecting. So, point of information then.
Commentary.
Commissioner Brooks, I was going to say that once an item is no longer before us, it's not typically proper to continue to have discussion on an item that's no longer before us. But the chairwoman recognized you, and that is within her discretion.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have a discretionary recognition. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with what my colleague was saying about what brought this about. I had intended to ask the motivation behind this, because let me just say to you, yesterday, I was reading the Daily Memphian, and we know sometimes media will get things incorrectly, okay? So they made a statement about what was on the agenda today, and the statement referred to the Milton Community Grants, and it referenced my colleague's resolution for changes. And it also referenced my resolution that was on today. And it said that it had been referred from April because there was no information provided about the grant, which is incorrect. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful how we frame this, because the media is always looking, in my opinion, they're always looking for a way to maybe dress us up negatively, some of us in a negative way. I'm very concerned. I have some amendments, and I'm concerned about the intent of the whole program in terms of what my colleague alluded to about these small organizations, these grassroots organizations, and what they're doing, the work they're doing, as opposed to these large community grants going to cities, counties, orchestras, chambers of commerce, and all of that. Maybe we do need to go in and maybe rephrase, if you will, or restructure it so that it will specifically pertain to certain grassroots organizations who are doing work on the ground under a certain dollar amount. Because we do need these grassroots organizations. We cannot get rid of them. We need the services they provide, and we don't put them in the budget. Their advocacy is not loud enough. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you.
All right, we had a motion by Commissioner Caswell, second by Commissioner Clay Bibbs. Can we do that without objection for the referral to May 27th? Seeing none, so moved.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to move to reconsider item 34.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Wright to reconsider item 34. Is there a second? I have a second by Commissioner Mills. Can we do that without objection?
Since that was done without objection, I'm going to reread the item that will reappear for action. Item 34 comes from the Budget and Finance Committee, which is chaired by Commissioner Whaley. Item 34 is a resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 operating budget to reallocate and appropriate $18,150,000 from the general fund unassigned fund balance to fund public safety expenses, including overtime payments, operational materials, and unanticipated food service costs. This item requires the reallocation and appropriation of general fund unassigned fund balance in the amount of $18,015,000. Sponsored by, you know what? We're actually reconsidering the motion, which was to refer. So we're not taking, so that is the last actions. So we're just taking a motion to reconsider the referral. So this item requires the reallocation and appropriation of general fund unassigned fund balance in the amount of $18,015,000, sponsored by Commissioner McWright and Commissioner Amber Mills. This item does not meet requirements of permanent rules, sent down without recommendation in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
Okay, so this is on the this is on the referral to the May 27th meeting.
Object.
Have an objection by Commissioner Brooks. I think you have to be clear. Okay, just so that we're clear, because I think there may have been not clarity on whether we were reconsidering the main item or the referral. The only thing that we can reconsider is the referral. So Commissioner Wright, please allow some latitude so that everyone understands what we were reconsidering. It is on the referral. That's the last item that was before us. The referral to the May 27th meeting. So item 34, which is about the reallocation and appropriation of $18 million from general fund unassigned, and we referred that to the May 27th meeting. Commissioner Wright is asking us to reconsider that motion. Is there a second? Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Thornton. I have an objection by Commissioner Brooks. All right, since there is an objection, is there anyone who wants to speak on that? Or they can speak on that.
They want to speak on the referral.
I just can't do that because they objected, so we have to take a vote on whether or not, before we can do that, before we can speak on the motion, we have to take a vote on whether or not we will reconsider this item, because there was an objection. Yes.
Right.
Parliamentarian, with the reconsideration.
What was your question? I apologize. I mean, that would go to the referral if you want to know why there was an objection to the referral. Yes, sir.
Just a moment. So, because there was an objection, are they able to speak on this as a reconsideration before we vote?
So we are trying to take action on the reconsideration, which is a procedural motion. And a procedural motion requires a majority vote of those present and voting. Those that are absent or abstain do not count towards the majority of those present and voting.
So we have to vote before we can discuss it.
So, yes, so we're just taking up a procedural motion on a reconsideration at this time.
We can't speak on the motion because we have to vote. There was an objection to it. So before we can speak on the actual motion to reconsider, we have to take a vote whether or not.
People speak on the objection.
So right now, we're just voting on a reconsideration. So do you have some debate on reconsidering? Okay, you wanted to know why there was an objection to the reconsideration. That's proper.
Okay. Commissioner Caswell.
Point of information. Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lowry.
Just a question around, because it's going to require a vote regardless. With the objection, does that now take it to a difference of a majority of 7? Or is that changed to 2/3? So it doesn't matter. So the objection,
It's 2/3. I think you're thinking about like suspension of the rules, but right, just on a procedural vote, it's a majority vote. I can pull
no,
it up.
I'm with you. So my
Procedure.
question,
Okay.
my question to you,
President vote.
my question to you is, we're going to have a vote no matter what,
Yes.
objection or
Because
not.
there's an objection.
Yes.
We're going to have a vote to reconsider no matter what.
If there was a reconsideration, if that was done without objection, then we would just move on to the reconsidering of, so if the reconsideration of the referral was done without objection, then,
Okay, we would not have to vote.
Right.
Okay.
We have
Wait
to,
a minute.
All right,
yes,
thank you.
We're gonna have to vote because there was an objection. So before the item could be reconsidered, we do have to vote. So I would like for us just to,
He had a question. Charlie wanted to know why I objected.
before we discuss this item, do we have to vote up or down? Yet, do we have to vote up or down before we can have discussion about the reconsideration?
Megan Smith, County Attorney's Office, you need to vote on the objection. If you
Okay.
vote yes on the objection, then the item does not get reconsidered. You vote no on the objection, then the item gets considered.
I'm sorry, say that part, the last part again?
You have to vote on the objection, majority rules. You vote yes on the objection, then the item is not on the table. You vote
No, I
no
understand
on
that.
the objection.
My question is,
I
can
think
there
it's the
be discussion on that before the vote?
You need to have the procedural vote first for
Okay.
the item to come on
All right, so the
table for
procedural
full
vote is,
discussion.
we are voting a majority present to, this is an objection to reconsider it, so we need to vote before we can discuss the reconsideration. So if you are voting yea, then you are saying yes to reconsider the item. If you're voting no, then you are saying no to reconsidering the item. The motion is we're procedurally just to even get to discuss this, why we want to reconsider it, because there was an objection, we've got to vote up or down.
Point of information.
Yes.
So I thought that we were voting yes for the objection and no against the objection.
No. So we have an objection. So Commissioner Wright wanted to reconsider the item. We had a second from Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Brooks objected to us reconsidering the item. So if you want to reconsider the item, then you're going to vote aye. If you do not want to reconsider the item, then you're going to vote no.
Not reconsider the item, we're reconsidering the motion that was made.
Yeah, they're reconsidering the motion that was made to reconsider the item.
And I
There was a
do want to
motion.
note that this is considered a procedural motion. And so when it's a procedural motion, the county commission shall require a majority vote of the commissioners present and voting for adoption. Commissioners present who abstain or otherwise do not participate in the vote shall not be counted.
Please prepare the screen for a vote. We are voting on whether or not to reconsider the referral. If you want to bring forth for us to reconsider the referral, then you're voting aye. If you're voting no, you're voting no to reconsidering the motion. Please report the vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Mills, Wright, Thornton. We have no votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Sugarman, Shalai, Brooks, Chairwoman Avent. We have 3 ayes, 7 noes.
That motion fails.
Madam Chair.
Yes, we are now, we don't have any other items before, so, yes, I'm gonna go to announcements and/or,
I have a motion to reconsider an item number 26. It's a grant. I just like to add additional to it, if that's all right.
Only on the prevailing side.
Hmm?
Only someone on the prevailing side can make
Oh.
motions. So if maybe,
I'll-
maybe a colleague will make motions so
I
you
can
can
bring it
add
up.
your
I can
motion.
bring it in this
I'll,
committee.
I assume he'll be quick. I'll make a motion to reconsider that item. Item 26?
Can you do that without objection?
can we do that without objection? A motion by Commissioner Whaley, a second by, who was the second? Commissioner Clay Bibbs. Can we do that without objection? Clear the screen.
Then I need to reread.
So parliamentarian, if you could read the item.
Item 26 comes from the Milton Community Enhancement Grants Committee with Commissioner Caswell as Vice Chair. Item 26 is a resolution awarding county funds from the FY 2026 operating budget in the amount of $5,000 to Vietnamese American Community in West Tennessee, a charitable organization. This item requires an expenditure of $5,000 from the Milton Community Enhancement Program Grant Fund, sponsored by Commissioner Mikkel Lowry and Commissioner Erica Sugarman. This item was amended in May 13th, 2026 committee meeting.
All right, Commissioner Thornton.
I would like to add 1,000 to this item.
Already did that.
I would like to make a motion to amend this item by $1,000.
I have a motion by Commissioner Thornton, a second by Commissioner Whaley to amend this item by 1,000, making it 6,000. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Commissioner Lowry.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to amend by 1,500.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Lowry to amend by 1,500, making it 7,500. Do I have a second? A second by Commissioner Thornton. Can we do that without objection? Seeing none, so moved. Can you prepare the screen for a vote? The amended amount of 7,500. Please report the vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Please prepare the screen for a vote.
We have aye votes from Commissioners Whaley, Clay Bibbs, Caswell, Shalai, Thornton, Brooks, Laurie, Chairwoman Avent. We have 8 aye votes.
That motion passes. All right, now we have, if there are any announcements or statements. Clear the screen, please. Seeing no